The San Francisco Shock might have just pulled off the most underrated move of the entire offseason. Earlier today on social media, they announced their partnership with Overwatch contenders Korea franchise O2 Blast. Just when you thought that they had finally calmed down after a very successful free agency class that they pulled in, they go ahead and release another bombshell that I don't think people are talking about enough. In my eyes, this is a huge signing now, but it also could have major implications as to where this franchise goes in future seasons, and it also sets them up in a really good place because O2 Blast has been a premier place for Overwatch Korean contenders' talent to play these last couple of years, so the San Francisco Shock just made a really big move. I'm not gonna lie, at first I really wasn't even sure if this was going to be an academy team partner up or not. I really wasn't sure at all what this partnership was going to entail at all, simply due to the fact that the Shock actually said nothing to do with O2 Blast becoming their academy team in their official announcement, at least I don't think. They released a merch line and kind of just kept things very generalized, but then if you move over to the O2 Blast Twitter page and you do a quick translate, they state that yes, they are indeed becoming the Shock's academy team. I do think that this partnership does make a lot of sense considering the fact that the Shock already signed a couple of O2 Blast alumni during the offseason, I guess you could say. But you really would have to imagine that the new guys that they signed have really hit it off with Coach Krusty and the organization if they were willing to make this type of move. If you haven't been keeping up with the league for that long, you probably would not know that there actually used to be a lot of academy teams in North America back in the day, but all of them basically disbanded for certain reasons. I mean, a lot of it just has to do with it not being worth it and whatnot. But yeah, North American teams haven't really had academy teams. It's mostly just been over in China and then with the Seoul Dynasty and Gen G where we see these types of teams. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think up until this recent acquisition, only the Boston Uprising had some sort of North American contenders team going under their wing. I can't really think of anybody else who was left standing at this point. So yeah, it's really cool that the Shock are hopping back on the whole Western Academy team trend thing. It would be nice if some other teams maybe followed in their footsteps and that this is just the beginning of something really cool in the works. I'm not going to get my hopes up because a lot of teams have just shown no interest in contenders rosters whatsoever basically, but you never really know. Let's try and keep our hopes alive. I for one really like the academy team system. I think it kind of adds a bit more flair to these teams and the fact that they have somebody under their wing at all. Like how you had the Montreal Rebellion for Toronto, we talked about how Boston had an academy team, and so on and so forth, with all of the other teams basically, except for like the Valiant, I think. So yeah, hopefully in the future some other teams follow suit. But anyway, moving more towards the Shock and what this means for them, I really can't help but feel like they won big time here. I think this partnership was genius on their end. O2 Blast though, it's just a really great team. It has a fantastic system, it's really good at developing young players, and I also just think they have a wealth of talent that has come from that team over the years. I mean, just last year we had Pelican, who was a superstar and the Rookie of the Year, and now, heading into the future, we have another top prospect in Proper coming up. A lot of people are very excited about him. A lot of people think he's a front runner to win Rookie of the Year. O2 Blast is no joke. I mean, we're talking the most recent #1 overall team in Korean contenders, and I mean, they won a couple of championships in a row, a couple seasons rather, and they've won seasons in the past as well. It's just a really great place to play. And now because of that, the Shock have opened up all sorts of different possibilities about the rest of free agency. A lot of people think that maybe they're going to sign FaZe as a tank player, or maybe they're going to pick up Sanguinar at main support, since he's one of the only, like, I guess you could say, relevant remaining main supports. You never really know there, but I tend to think about it more from like a futuristic standpoint, not just what's going to happen in the rest of the offseason. I mean, yeah, they could make a couple of good additions to make their team even stronger before the start of this year, but when you think about it from the future, the Shock could do so much with their rosters now. There's a lot of potential replacements and big prospects they could be looking at from this team, scouting them constantly, always working with them even, and I just can't help but think about how amazing this is going to be for Krusty if he decides to stay with the Shock for the foreseeable future, because he's really, really good at developing talent. In my opinion, he is one of the best out there, and now he's going to continuously get some of the best rated prospects out of Korean contenders, at least for the time being. And now that the Shock have an academy team, technically they can make two-way players a thing, which is terrifying to think about. They could try certain people out in their system, and if they're really good, all of a sudden they're getting promoted. That is absolutely ridiculous for a team of this caliber. I truly do believe that a very bright future has opened up for the Shock by making this kind of move, because there's so many different possibilities on the table. For one, I think it's going to increase Krusty's chances of staying with the team for a bit longer, because he's never going to feel like he's bored now. He's always going to have some fun new talent to work with, and it's just going to keep the experience fresh for him unless he decides that he doesn't want to be around Overwatch anymore. At the same time, if the Shock want to go fully Korean one day, I think that possibility has opened up a lot more with this type of move. If they want to move on from their Western talent, or maybe somebody like Super retires, they can afford to do so and be happy knowing that their synergy is going to be really, really good. And you know, now that I really think about it, the talent pool isn't just opened up to the players here. Maybe this could lead to a promotion of some of those O2 Blast coaches later down the line. There are so many chances for the Shock to ensure a very bright future for themselves, and it makes me less and less concerned about moving on from their championship era, because they very well might be in a position to start a brand new one. Most people probably wouldn't consider the Shock to be like a top tier championship contender in 2022, but now that they've made this move, maybe that'll change heading into 2023 and onward. I for one think this is a very underrated move, and if you're a Shock fan, you should feel very excited and optimistic about what your future may hold. Right now, I think a lot of people won't be talking about this move as much as they should, simply due to the fact that it's contenders, and right now here in the present, it might not make that much of a difference, but later down the line, this move could become very meaningful, so just stay patient, Shock fans. Sooner or later, I think this is going to pay off big time. But until we reach that point, that is where I'm going to end this discussion. So now I want to hear from you on this matter. What do you think of the Shock partnering up with O2 Blast? Let me know in the comments below. Both Shock fans and non-Shock fans are welcome to leave their opinions. And if you enjoyed the video and want more Overwatch League news content like this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you're new around here. And until next time, this is ATP, signing out. Peace.